The majority of drivers are accustomed to their car turning on its own. That's how it should be. So if your car begins to make noises while you turn, you should look into a more serious issue. The longer you ignore the issue, the more likely it is to get worse. The good news is that if you know what to look for, you can diagnose the issue on your own. There are times when fixing the problem only requires adding power steering fluid. In this video, I'll go over some of the most typical causes for strange noises your car might be making when you turn. It's the Car Problems YouTube channel. Subscribe and let's get started. Broken steering rack and pinion. The rack and pinion is the biggest part of your steering system. It has a huge number of moving parts, and they frequently wear out and need to be replaced. You might hear loud bangs after turning if your rack and pinion is worn out. In addition, you'll probably feel the issue in the steering column if it gets serious enough. Less serious issues might only be audible as a small click coming from underneath your car when you turn. Since fixing the steering rack will cost a lot of money, it is advisable to look at the other parts first. Worn steering column, bearing, or boot. A worn-out or dry steering wheel bearing may be the source of a squealing sound that sounds like it's coming from behind the wheel. If the bearing is extremely damaged, you might also notice excessive play in the steering wheel. Usually this can be fixed by using grease or a lubricant spray to lubricate the bearing. Additionally, there is a boot that keeps water out of the cabin. This boot may make a squealing sound if it is dry, so it is crucial to lubricate it as well. Worn ball joints. When there is movement in the suspension or steering system, ball joints rotate. Tie rod ends and control arms are the two most typical locations for ball joints. These ball joints may begin to move excessively or become stuck in one place if they wear out. There will be excessive noises when you turn the wheel as a result of either issue. Worn struts or shocks. It doesn't follow that these suspension parts can't be the source of the noises you hear when you turn the steering wheel. Initially, their mounting may be worn or loose. You'll hear it slide around as you turn if that's the case. Second, when you turn the wheel and navigate corners, your suspension is really put to use. This means that when you turn the wheel, you might hear an underlying issue. Additionally, it is frequently the case that the coil springs surrounding the shocks break, which results in an unpleasant noise. The top mount bearings at the top of the shock may also be the source. Low or old power steering fluid. One of the easiest issues to resolve that results in steering noise is an inadequately lubricated power steering pump. Since this system is closed, leaks should not occur. However, noise as you turn will be one of the first indications of a leak. But first, you must locate and fix the leak before you can simply add more fluid and call it good. Bad wheel bearing. A faulty bearing may be the cause of a whirring sound you hear when turning the steering wheel while traveling at higher speeds. The outer wheel bearing is subjected to pressure when you turn your car. As you apply pressure to the bearing, the sound will become louder if the bearing is bad. Loose or damaged tie rod ends. The rubber boots on the tie rod ends that connect your rack and pinion to your tires are subject to deterioration. In that case, you will hear the metal hitting the hub and your tie rod bouncing around. If you don't replace the tie rod end right away, you risk causing more harm. Worn control arm bushings. Even though the control arm is a component of your suspension system, worn bushings may still cause noises from it. Turning causes the control arm to move inside its housing, and if the bushings are worn, you will hear loud bangs as it does so. Should the issue become severe enough, the weight of the control arms will collide with the housing side, causing the entire vehicle to shift. Damaged power steering pump. While they make turning the wheel easier when driving, power steering pumps can make a lot of noise when they start to break. Turning your engine over will probably reveal any noises coming from the top of the engine bay, most likely from the power steering pump. How to diagnose and fix. The steering wheel is merely the beginning of a lengthy sequence of parts that come together to turn the tires. The steering column, which is connected to the rack and pinion, is where the steering wheel is fixed. The steering column spins when you turn the wheel, pushing the rack and pinion in one direction or another. Each side of the rack and pinion is attached with a tie rod end that connects to the hub of your car. When two of these components come together, rubber bushings are positioned to stop a metal-on-metal contact, which could wear down the parts. But as these bushings deteriorate, you'll hear noises as things move around and notice excessive movement in the system. Remember that every time you turn the wheel while operating a vehicle, you are applying significant force to it. This force has the ability to move various parts of your car, most frequently the suspension parts. Even though there are many issues that could cause your steering wheel to make noises when you turn, You need to have them examined and fixed as soon as you can. A problem will get worse the longer you ignore it. Recall that the purpose of bushings and boots is to safeguard the more costly parts that surround them. They stop functioning when they wear out, which can quickly result in more costly damages. Hope the information was helpful for you. If so, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel.